We have a real problem here in Florida with property taxes. And I know some people, well, they think it doesn't affect them, but it does. If you're renting, it's affecting the owner of your property and will affect you. Look, this isn't a video aimed to be a Debbie Downer or cry about something I don't agree with, although it might come off that way at times. But it's a video designed to spark conversation, whether you're a seasoned homeowner or looking to buy your first property. We sell real estate, Jessica and I do. Knowing how property taxes work, how they're calculated, and a bit of their history will give you an idea of where you want to live and how you want to vote, perhaps. Hey everyone, Trevor Snyder here, a local real estate broker at LPT Realty in the greater Orlando area. I also hold my mortgage license at Empire Financial, thank you. But more than anything, I'm a husband, a father, and a homeowner. I struggle with the same bills, economic conditions, and decisions of society that you do. And property taxes fall into every one of those categories. It's a bill, its cost is based on economic conditions, and how and who we vote for help determine what we'll pay. Okay, first things first, what exactly are property taxes? I guess I'll answer that since I'm the only one here. Simply put, property taxes are a levy paid by anyone who owns real estate in a capacity. So what the heck is a levy? A levy is a legal seizure of your property to satisfy a tax debt. Levies are different than liens. A lien is a legal claim against property to secure payment of the debt. Like a mortgage, while a levy actually takes the property to satisfy the debt, meaning they hold the title, they own the property. The amount you owe is determined by the value of your property and the tax rate set by your local government. And here's the kicker, all the tax money goes straight to funding local services like schools, roads, and emergency services. So we know we're in good hands. Now bear with me as we shift into history mode for the next 2 minutes or so. Property taxes have been around for a long time. In the US, they date back to the colonial era where land ownership was a primary indicator of wealth. Dating back to 1839 when ad valorem taxes were first introduced, these taxes were initially imposed as different rates based on land quality, with the individual states being the primary collector. But by 1885, the Florida Constitution required uniform taxation across the state, introducing exemptions for properties used for municipal, educational, and religious purposes, as well as for certain homeowners such as widows and disabled veterans. And in 1934, the first homestead exemption of $5,000 was enacted. And when that happened, it really marked a shift from state to local taxation. And of course, time goes on and changes happen through the years. But the next event of note happened in 1980, which happened to be the Truth in Millage Trim Act, which requires cities and counties to maintain tax rates that would raise the same revenue as the previous year, barring new construction, of course. Millage being 0.1% or $1 in every 1,000. And today, Florida residents still follow the Save Our Homes Amendment from 1992, which capped annual increases in homesteaded property values to 3% per year, which it really helped stabilize taxes for homeowners and simultaneously shifting the burden to non-homesteaded properties. All right, now let's get into the nitty-gritty of how property taxes are collected in Florida. The calculation is a bit like a math problem from school, but don't worry, I'll make it easy. Okay. Taxable value of your property, 1,000 divided by 1,000 times millage rate equals property tax. Oh, different counties have different millage rates. Here's how it works. Each year, a property appraiser in your county will assess the market value of your home. But that's not the full story. You might not qualify for exemptions like the homestead exemption, which can lower your taxable value. Once you have that taxable value, you multiply it by the millage rate, a fancy term for the amount charged per $1,000 of property value. For example, if your home in Orange County is assessed at $350,000 and you qualify for a $50,000 homestead exemption, you'll only pay taxes on $300,000. If the millage rate is 5 mills, you multiply $300,000 by 5. Divide by 1,000, of course, and boom, you owe $1,500 in property taxes for that fiscal year. But not all areas in Florida are created equal when it comes to property taxes. The millage rate varies by county and city, meaning that two homes with the same value, could be even the same floor plan, in different parts of the state could have very different tax bills. I mean, don't you know? Especially if you're like on the water. I mean, where you are, it doesn't matter. It varies. To make things even more complicated, I didn't mean complicated, I meant interesting, there's something called the effective property tax rate. This rate represents the percentage of your home's market value that you'll pay in property taxes. So instead of diving deep into calculations, you can just multiply your home's value by this rate to get a rough estimate of what you owe. And in Osceola County, we're about 95 and 94, and Orange County is, I believe, about 95. And the screen will correct me anyways. Now here's some good news. There are ways to lower your property tax bill before, like mentioned earlier. Florida offers several exemptions, the most common being the homestead, like also mentioned before. The homestead exemption, which can knock off up to $50,000 from your home's taxable value. And that's significant for a lot of people. Other exemptions exist for veterans, seniors, and even widows and widowers. If you qualify, these can significantly reduce your tax burden, so it's worth looking into what you're eligible for. Make sure you get a realtor that points that out too. And I know, I'm losing you at this point. This is all so boring and you have nothing that you want to tune in for, but I got a lot left, so hang in there. If you live in your home, the most they can increase your taxes is 3% per year to save your home bill, right? Which is basically the cost of inflation. So basically, they want to make sure your payment is keeping up with inflation, which is government spending. All right, yay. Okay, so what does that mean for us? What's the impact of property taxes? The initial response should be, we like driving on the roads. We like having education. We like local government programs. But I can't help but to think, how much is really going towards that? In addition, what impact does that have on fixed income individuals? Even after you agree upon the price of a home, your mortgage payment will change. Every year when taxes get reassessed and insurance gets reassessed, your payment's going to go up. In addition, if a developer wants to develop a subdivision, they might put into place what's called a CDD, or Community Development District, which is where they can do all the infrastructure, roads, sewage, electricity, water, and everything else, and charge the homeowners as a separate tax for a certain amount of time to pay that back. And it looks like a tax. So there you have it. A quick guide to understanding property taxes in Florida. Whether you're a homeowner or just thinking about buying, knowing how these taxes work can help your budget and plan for the future. And remember, if you have any questions or need help navigating the real estate market, we're here to help. And with that being said, Jessica and I sell real estate, and I have my mortgage license, as mentioned in the beginning of the video. It's how we provide for our family. So if you have any real estate related questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Stay informed, stay safe, and we'll catch you in the next video. This is where I said I didn't know if it was going to be a rant or not, because I really have a difficult time with taxes as you get to a certain age. I feel like that senior exemption should be an overall property exemption entirely, not just a discount. It's still going up to rates they can't afford. And what happens with a lot of people is that they end up purchasing properties when they can afford them, like on water or something like that. They end up being down the road a lot more expensive than they can actually maintain. So not just do they have a difficult time maintaining the house and keeping it in good condition, but the insurance keeps going up, and the taxes become so astronomical, especially if you're on the water. A lot of these people can't afford to live in these places where they once could. And so, yeah, I mean, should they sell? Possibly, but I don't necessarily agree with the fact that taxes should be going up for certain individuals. So everybody uses the roads. I understand that, but after your time you put in, you've paid in a certain amount into the system, you shouldn't have to pay into it anymore. And property taxes are one of those things. I mean, if we could get started on taxes in general, I don't believe in income tax. I don't believe in property tax. I don't really believe in any sort of taxes whatsoever. I think there should be a flat fee consumption tax. I think it should be roughly about 10%. And it makes sense as a consumption fee or a consumption tax, because everybody consumes and we all do at varying degrees. And if we have more money, we consume more. And so they would pay more in taxes. And you wouldn't be able to get out of any sort of taxes whatsoever, because everything that you consume, a consumption tax, would be taxed. So if it's not consumed, you don't tax it. And maybe we should have some variation on food or something like that. Or some leniency, or maybe, that's what that's what food stamps should be, would be like no taxes on food or something like that. I think that's reasonable type of stuff, but it should be more of a consumption tax. So anyways, I don't personally believe, I think once you own your property, you should really just be able to have it paid off and not have to pay into that infrastructure all the time, even though the roads are constantly being worked on, because there's always more people coming into the community. And rather than the current population constantly paying for the new infrastructure, we need to figure out how the new tenants can pay more of it, right? So, and eventually they will as time goes too. But that's why I'm saying, when you're a senior, you should be able to dip out of that at least. So that is my rant on property taxes.